When someone in government is accused of doing something wrong, the story is not just about the claim. It's about how leaders respond, whether there is an investigation, and what the public learns in the process. This is the Final Takeaway Podcast, bringing you the story behind the headlines with context that can change everything. Thanks for joining us. And just a quick note before we continue. This content is commentary and opinion intended for public interest and discussion. It discusses allegations and public statements made by others and reported by credible media outlets. These claims are not proven facts, and everyone mentioned is considered innocent unless a court says otherwise. Now, let's get to it. Today's story is not about a conviction. It's not about a verdict, and it's not about guilt. It's about allegations, denials, defenses, and the uncomfortable space in between. When claims surface about properties overseas, and when the president himself steps in to defend that minister, the real question becomes, what does the public deserve to know, and what does power owe the people? Let's begin by talking about the allegation that ignited this story. First, how did this story enter the public conversation? The accusations were made publicly by Azzuddin Mohammed, who is the leader of the We Invest in Nationhood Party, WIN, and the opposition leader in waiting. His claim was serious, loaded, and politically explosive. He alleged that Susan Rodrigues, Guyana's Minister of Tourism, used her government position to build personal wealth. More specifically, Mohammed claims she had purchased homes in the United States, raising questions about how a public official could afford such properties. Now let's pause right here, because this is where many stories go off the rails. At this stage, these are allegations, not proven facts. No court has ruled on them. No charges have been filed. But allegations don't need to be proven to cause political shockwaves or public outrage. In politics, perception often spreads faster than proof. And once an accusation involves foreign property, public money, and a current minister, the public naturally starts asking questions, such as who made the claim, why now, and what evidence exists, if any, and the list goes on. Now, let's shift our attention to the response. Susan Rodrigues did not remain silent. She strongly denied the allegations. According to her public statements and interviews reported by outlets such as Newsroom Guyana and Stabroek News, Rodrigues said the claims were false, misleading, and politically motivated. She explained that any property linked to her name was lawfully acquired, properly declared, and not the result of abusing her office. In short, her message was clear. Nothing illegal, nothing hidden, nothing to see here. She framed the accusations as part of a broader political strategy, one designed to damage her reputation rather than expose wrongdoing. But here is where the story deepens, and the context can change the story as you know it. For example, when politicians deny allegations, the public doesn't just listen to what they say, they watch who stands beside them. And in this case, someone very powerful did. His name? President Irfaan Ali. Ali publicly defended Minister Rodrigues. He said he reviewed her explanation and found it reasonable, even going further to say that her assets were properly accounted for and that there was no evidence of corruption. This kind of defense matters. When a head of government backs a minister, it sends a signal to the public, to political opponents, and to institutions. The president's stance was essentially this: there is no proof of wrongdoing, and the government will not condemn someone based on accusations alone. Supporters of the administration argue this is due process in action, fairness, restraint, and refusal to bow to political pressure. Critics, however, see something else. They're asking, is this leadership or protection? Is this responsible governance or the closing of ranks? Despite Ali defending Rodrigues, the story refuses to despair. Why? Because it taps into a deeper issue that goes beyond Susan Rodrigues. Across the world, and especially in developing democracies, citizens worry about how public officials accumulate wealth. Even when actions are legal, people ask questions like these. Does the lifestyle match the salary? Are disclosures transparent? Are watchdog institutions truly independent? And the list of questions go on and on. In Guyana, these concerns are amplified by rapid economic change, especially with oil revenues entering the picture. For many citizens, the question isn't, is she guilty? The question is, do we have enough transparency to be confident she's innocent? That difference in approach to finding the answer matters. And that's why opposition figures continue to press the issue, not just against Rodrigues, but against the system that oversees public accountability. Sometimes the scandal isn't what's proven, it's what remains unanswered. Let's bring this home carefully and responsibly. As of now, these are allegations, not charges. There are denials supported by documentation as reported in the media, and there is presidential defense, not findings by the court. No court has ruled against Susan Rodrigues. No authority has declared her actions illegal. However, this story still matters because democracy doesn't only rely on courts, it relies on public confidence. And confidence grows when leaders understand that scrutiny is not hostility and questions are not attacks. The danger in moments like this is not scandal. The danger is silence, dismissal, and polarization. With all that being said, here is the final takeaway. The public deserves answers. Officials deserve fairness. And democracy depends on both. This story is not over. Not because someone must fall, but because transparency must rise. And that, my friends, is the story beyond the headlines. Thank you for joining us, subscribing, sharing, and commenting. I can't wait to be back in the next episode of the Final Takeaway Podcast.